I'm Renee.
And I'm Angelise.
And we're the hosts of your podcast,
Hidden but Not Unseen. Welcome to episode 3. As usual, we're going to start with our icebreaker question.
So this week's question: would you rather communicate only in emoji or never be able to text at all ever again?
I think for me, I would rather communicate only in emoji, only because I enjoy sending GIFs or GIFs. I don't really know how to say it.
Who knows?
But I think emojis are similar, and I could literally communicate with people, only specific people though, like in GIFs, and like we just understand the conversation.
Yeah.
So I guess it would be limited to certain people if I can only communicate in emoji. But I would rather do that than never be able to text again.
I don't know. I'm thinking about it right now, and I think never be able to text at all. Because, I mean, I'm not really that good at texting anyways. Like, I'd be forgetting to text people all the time. And I like face-to-face conversations anyways. Like, way
That's
better.
true.
And though I hate phone calls a lot, I'd rather be like, hey, meet me here. Okay, bye. And then have the face-to-face conversation, like, at somewhere else instead of, like, having to text it. Because then sometimes, you know, texts get misconstrued. You try to have a conversation and you're pouring out your heart or explaining something. And people are like, yeah, I didn't know what you said. Or they misinterpret it. So, like, it's better to have those face-to-face conversations anyways.
That's true.
So I think I would be okay with not texting at all ever. So yeah, I think that's it.
Nice. Well, episode 3 is going to be on how to deal with burnout.
Burnout. What a good one.
I know.
But before we get started on this topic, like always, like we always say before, disclaimer, we are not theologians. That means we did not go to school to study the Bible all the way. But we did do our research. We did look up scripture to make sure that we understood maybe the stories that we're telling, the scriptures that we're giving you, the topics that we're getting ready to discuss so that we could become as well educated as we can. And we always say, like, don't just take our word for it. Go ahead and also do your research on it as well. So, little disclaimer.
Yes. So what is burnout and what causes it?
All right. So burnout. Our great friend, the internet and the dictionary helped us explain this well. Burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion, excessive and prolonged stress, and it occurs when you feel overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and unable to meet constant demands. So that really reminds me of a time that was probably about like a month ago. As you have heard us talk about many, many times, I'm an intern. Angelise was an intern. So in this program, like, there are just a lot of things that we have to do. And I find myself working in the garage a lot because I like to build and use my hands, and it's fun. But, you know, there's just this moment where I felt like I was the only one who knew how to do anything. And so everybody would come and ask me questions. They'd be like, hey, I need your help doing this. And I wasn't able to do even my little simple task. And it just got overwhelming to the point where I was like, yo, I don't want to do this anymore, low key. I'm kind of just tired of it. I would come in every day just like, I know I have to get things done and I know I have to go work. But I also know that a lot of people are probably going to come and ask me questions, because I promise you, the start of the second year, the first thing I did when I walked into the garage, or the first thing that happened when I walked into the garage, was like, everybody was asking me questions about, hey, what's this? What's that? How do I build this? Where do I get this from? Where does that? And I understand that people don't know, but it's also a lot just on me as one person. So it really, really just got me in this, like, I don't know, this funk, this mood of like not wanting to do anything and kind of just wanting to quit. So yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of you guys who experienced burnout before also. But there's someone in the Bible that we want to talk about today who actually experienced this, and you'll find that in the story of Elijah.
Oh, my dude.
Yes, we love Elijah.
Yes.
So it's in 1 Kings chapter 17 through 19.
Okay.
Basically, Elijah was a prophet that God sent to confront the northern kingdom of Israel about their idolatry. And at the beginning of chapter 17, he announced that there would be a great drought,
Okay.
which he's a prophet, so obviously, like, God speaks to him and stuff.
Right.
So, what happens? A great drought comes.
A great drought. Yeah. Like you said, he announces that this great drought is going to happen to
Mm-hmm.
King Ahab or whatever. And then he's like, yeah, there's not going to be rain for 3 years. And then he goes off because God is like, all right, go here. I'm going to provide you water and the
Yeah.
birds are going to feed you and give you
Mm-hmm.
what you need until this dries out. So yeah, after you tell them peace out, that's pretty much what happens. And then after that, after the drought, or no, just kidding. After the brook dried out, God also called him to go and meet this lady and was like, yo, this lady is going to provide you with food. She's going to make you food. She's going to give you drink and it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
great.
Yeah. Well, this lady was actually a widow, and it was her and her son,
Mm-hmm.
and it was her last portion of her food and water.
Yeah.
And Elijah asked for it, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I would love to give it to you, but like it's the last meal that I have."
Yeah.
And Elijah was just like, "If you feed me and give me water, like the Lord will provide for you until the end of the drought."
Yeah. Her and her son.
Yeah, her and her son.
Because it was like,
That's important, yes.
she's like, yo, me and my son are about to eat this last meal and then we're just gonna sit here and we're gonna die. So yeah, I would give it to you, but
Right.
let us just eat this one meal in peace and die. It's pretty much
Ugh.
what she was saying.
Yeah.
But then she was obedient and gave that portion to Elijah, and she was sustained throughout the whole drought. Like
Yeah.
she had the food and she had the water, and it was a miracle. And she's like, yo, okay, I believe you, dude. Like, I
Mhm.
believe you're a prophet and I believe in your God.
Yeah.
And then something else happens.
Yeah. So I don't know how much time passes, but
Sometime. It says sometime.
sometime after this happens, her son actually becomes really sick, and her son ends up passing away.
Mm-hmm.
And so she goes back to Elijah, like, "Yo, like you said, you serve a good God, right? Like you should ask him to bring my son back to life."
Yeah.
And so Elijah prays to God, and God actually brings the boy back to life.
He does something really weird that I find really weird, though.
Yeah?
Like, homeboy is like, okay, I'll take your son. He goes up into the upper room, and this man lays on a dead boy and, like, stretches him out. I think it said, like, 3 times, and breathes on him, and then
Yeah.
God answers his prayer, and he comes back to life. I just find that, like,
Yeah,
really weird. Like, if
it's
I were
different.
a dead body and somebody, like, laid on top of me, like stretched out on top of me, it was like face to face with a cold dead body. I don't know. That's just a little weird.
Yeah, that's a little weird, but hey, God used it. Whatever.
Yes, and it's besides the point.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but
anyways.
So, obviously, the widow was super overjoyed, and it made her faith even stronger in God. And then from there, Elijah goes to Mount Carmel.
Yes. He goes to Mount Carmel, and he pretty much how would you say this? He challenges. That's a great word.
Yeah.
He challenges the prophets of Baal. And it's like, yo, you think your God, this Baal God, is a real God, and I know my God is a real God. So why don't we do this? How about we're gonna split up? You take your cow, I take my cow. We're gonna build this altar. We're gonna pray to our gods, and whoever God responds, obviously that's the true and living God.
Right.
So it's Elijah, one dude, against 450 prophets of Baal. That's a lot of prophets of Baal.
That is a lot of people.
And what happens on this mount? What happens during this whole ceremony of like, okay, like you pray to your God and see if he's a real God, and I'll pray to my God and show you that he is a real God. Like,
yeah.
What happens?
The 450 Baal prophets, they just kept crying out to their gods to start the fire, and nothing happened. And they kept going and nothing happened.
Right.
And then Elijah, he goes and he prays, to God,
Yeah.
and God creates such a huge fire. Well, he first completely soaked the area
Yeah.
to make it more intense, I guess. That, oh, my God's gonna
Do all of this.
do all of this,
Yeah.
even if it's completely wet. And so, he sets ablaze the cow.
Yeah.
And the people of Israel, obviously, they're shook. They're like, oh my gosh,
uh-oh,
that's the real God right there.
This a real God. I was over here with these little false prophets over here worshiping these
Yeah.
homeboy. And homeboy ain't even real. He didn't even answer. These prophets of Baal, literally, it's funny because Elijah was taunting them too in the
Yeah.
process of all
He's
of it. He
wild.
was like, yo, I think your God's asleep. You need to shout a little bit louder so he could hear you. And these idiot prophets of Baal were like, you're right. He probably is asleep. And starts screaming even louder and starts cutting themselves and bleeding everywhere, trying to get this God that's not even a real God. It's an idol that they decided to worship. Try to get it to be a real thing. Obviously not true. In this, we find out who the real God is, who the true God is, and like you're saying, the Israelites, the people of Israel, they're like, oh, this is the real God. And then all of the Baal prophets, they end up getting killed.
Yep, Elijah killed all of them.
Yes, because that God was not real, and why would you want to keep the idolatry happening?
Right.
You don't want these people to be there.
Nope.
No.
But what's crazy is right after this happens, it starts raining. And that's when the drought ends.
Yes. After this whole thing, after this whole challenge and it fails for the prophets of Baal, the drought does end. God answers that prayer of Elijah's after that of the drought ending.
Yeah.
And then guess who shows up? Who comes into the picture? My girl Jezzy.
Yes. Jezzy. Who's Jezzy?
Jezebel. She is the queen. This is Ahab's wife. And Ahab's wife, Jezebel, finds out what happened to her prophets. She finds out what Elijah did, and this girl gets heated. She gets pissed off. She gets mad. This girl gets mad to the point where she was like, yo, I'm gonna kill this man, and it's gonna be worse than what he did to my prophets.
Oof.
So she sets out to find this guy. And what Elijah's like, oh, scared.
Yeah, he's scared, and he runs into the wilderness. He runs into the wilderness, and he prayed to God that he might die. He was like, Lord, this is it. Take my life away, basically.
He's like, I'm over it.
It was really dramatic, actually.
Yeah, he sounds a little dramatic.
So then once he, after he prays that he's gonna die, he, ends up falling asleep. And he gets woken up by an angel. And the angel's like, here's some food. Eat it.
Here's some water.
Here's some water. Drink it.
Drink it.
And then right after he eats, he goes to sleep again. And then another angel comes back and does the same thing.
Knock, knock.
They're like, here, eat, because you have a long journey ahead of you.
Eat and drink, yeah.
So he does that.
Then homeboy travels for 40 days and 40 nights.
Yes,
to this mountain. Horeb. To Mount Horeb. Which means the mountain of God.
Yes. He travels 40 days and 40 nights. I feel like 40 is a very significant number in the Bible.
In the Bible, yes.
Yeah.
And that's a long time also.
It is.
That's a really long time.
It's thank God that angel gave him food and water.
Because he was sustained.
Yes.
From those 2 times where he ate and drank.
Yeah.
To travel 40 days and 40 nights. Wild.
It is crazy. And on the mountain, the Lord actually appears to Elijah. And he's just like, what are you doing here, Elijah? And I thought that was so funny because he's just like, bro, what are you doing here? You should be over there still doing my work, the things that I've called you to do.
Yeah.
So then after, he says, what are you doing here, Elijah? God's just like, go out there and stand on the mountain and wait for my presence.
Yeah.
And so there's a strong wind that comes through.
Yeah.
but the Lord was not in the wind.
Okay.
And then an earthquake appears or happens,
Mm-hmm.
but the Lord was not in that.
Okay.
And then there was a fire that happens, and the Lord wasn't in that either.
Wait. So you're telling me this really big God who can like do anything and speak
Yep.
through anything and like be all showy if he wants to, is not in these big showy things. Like he's not in the wind, he's not in the earthquake, and he's not in the fire.
Nope. He was in none of it.
So then how did he like, I mean, I would have expected, go stand out on the mountain and I'll speak to you, and then boom,
And
like
it's like
thunderstorm and
earthquake.
fire, and just like, Elijah, I'm coming to you now. Like
Literally,
that's what
yeah.
I expect. But
Yeah,
he
me
didn't
too.
do that. How did he
No.
answer him? How did he talk to him
The
then?
Lord's presence came in a whisper.
Hmm.
A whisper.
A whisper. A whisper. So something gentle and soft.
Yes.
That's reflective of who he is. Ugh, our God.
He's so funny to me.
Yes.
And then after, Elijah is just like telling everything that he's feeling to God and just talking it all out, God just like he's tells him to go back. He's like, "All right, cool. Like now that we processed all this, go back to where you came from and finish what I told you to finish."
That's funny.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
He's like, thank you for sharing your emotions and all of this with me. Now I'm gonna need you to get off your butt and go continue the work that I placed inside of you.
Travel 40 days back.
Like, yo, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
He has to walk all the way back to where he came from.
Yeah.
That's a whole 40-day travel. Yo, God.
Yeah, he is crazy.
What is this?
Something that I noticed after reading this story was that Elijah experienced this burnout after 2 spiritual victories, which was the defeat of the Baal prophets and the answered prayer. So, like, I don't know, I just think it's crazy that you can experience something like victories, like some great things, and then immediately after be like burnt out or like turn away from the things that you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It is wild. I guess it can really happen. It happened to Elijah.
Yeah. Like he was a prophet. Yeah. Like he actually heard God's voice.
He heard from God. And this is
did
like
things for him.
And like you have to understand that this is Old Testament, not New Testament.
Right.
Where like everybody can hear God's voice in the New Testament. This is Old Testament. Very special people could only hear God's voice, right?
Right, yeah.
So wild. This man was blessed.
He was very blessed. And the second thing that I noticed was that when he was afraid, he isolated himself more, which led him to be depressed. Like he ran away from the situation. Yeah. And then he was like, God, I should die right now. Like I should just die.
Like that part really led him into like the cycle or the season like of burnout pretty much. And it kind of just like this whole story is kind of summed up in this chart that I found online, and it kind of just shows you like if you prioritize certain things or certain things are like in different orders, that like your life could lead to burnout. So in this chart, in the cycle of burnout, it says like, okay, like you're the top, it's you, yourself. You prioritize your work, then your ministry, then good works, and then life. But then that leaves, if you prioritize yourself in your job, that leaves you with no space to have a life or to really let God in to help you work through all of these different areas and all these different sections. So then you get stressed, you get overwhelmed. Yeah, you're just in this place of like
anxious.
Yeah, anxious and all of that. You're just in this place of like, oh, life sucks. I can't do anything. Like I have to work and all of that, and I don't have time to do anything else. That's when they can lead to burnout.
Right.
Like
if you want to be in control.
Right. If you don't prioritize like just the proper things, if they're not in the right order, it can lead you to burnout.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely wild. It also says this other thing, like, it's like, yo, stress, like, it shouldn't have to lead you to being burnt out or lead you to that state of being burnt out. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
just have to, like, do the right things, like I was saying, prioritize the right things, and then you'll be fine. So, like, we need to learn how to deal with burnout properly and effectively. So how do we even do that? Well, one way is like to recognize the symptoms of burnout.
Yeah.
Like,
Know when it's happening.
yeah. So, like, some symptoms that we like read and got off of another website. We'll probably link it so that you
Yeah.
guys can check out the different order of certain things and all of that. But the first symptom that we read off of this website, or one of the ones that really stuck out to us the most, is behavioral changes.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you one day are like happy go lucky, whatever, you're living life, you're enjoying everything, and then out of nowhere, like, your mood just switches and you're angry, or you're like quickly irritated or whatever, that
Or
might
even
be
if you're crying, you don't know why you're crying.
that part,
Because that's
maybe.
happened to me before.
Yes, if you're crying a little bit, then that can definitely be a sign that maybe you're getting to a point of burnout. Maybe, like, you
Yeah.
just don't know what's happening, you can't control any of your emotions or whatever. Another one is a continuation or an increase in escapist activities. I know for
Mm.
myself,
Mm-hmm.
I love to do this. I love to, if I'm in a point of like really being overwhelmed, I'd rather do something else that distracts me
Yeah.
than to like focus on the one thing
Yeah.
that is causing me stress or
Mm-hmm.
causing me to be overwhelmed. Like, if I'm thinking about, maybe, example, we had TVC this past weekend. If you don't
Mm-hmm.
know what that is, I'm gonna tell y'all what that is. It is the Voice Conference. It
Hey.
is the church that we attend. We put on a conference every October. It is the most amazing, refreshing conference you can ever do.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, if I'm uber stressed out about everything that I need to do, and I know I need to get it done now, like, I'd rather just be like, nah, it's whatever, and then go do a different task. Or when I get home, instead of organizing things that need to be done, I'll just watch TV all day.
Yes.
Like, I will find something else to do instead of doing the thing that I need to do.
I also do this. I'm on YouTube all the time when I'm
YouTube,
avoiding stuff.
our favorite.
Yeah. It's really bad.
Um, Another one is like obsessing over problems. Like, this is where you see like that nitpickiness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, something could be so small, maybe it's really small, and you kind of just, you focus on that. You kind of control like the small things, because that gives you a sense of being in control and seeming like everything is okay and everything
Right.
is right. But
It's not.
that doesn't, it's not. And it can happen in anything. Like, it can happen in your life, it can happen at work, it can happen at school, it can happen anywhere. When you become stressed out or feel like you are reaching that point of burnout, like, these are some things that you can really do, because, like, you feel like I said, that you're in control.
Yeah. That's good.
Another one that we decided or looked at and was like, yo, this is probably one of the telltale signs of you being in burnout, is self-doubt. Like, you're just doubting what
Yeah.
you're capable of or what you can do, and you're kind of in this very like negative mind
Mm-hmm.
set. So you kind of just like, all right, bump it, whatever, I'm not good anyways, so it doesn't matter, I can't do it, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what Elijah did when he ran away.
Yeah,
He was like, "Nah, I can't handle Queen Jezebel. Like, she's gonna kill me."
she's gonna kill me.
But like, he was literally
He's a
like, if
prophet,
you think about it, he killed like 450 prophets.
right? And he is also a prophet of the Most High God,
Right.
who would step in and do anything that he needed to keep his people safe. Like, he was just,
Yeah.
acting in his humanness, which we all do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can blame him, but I also can't blame him, because I know
Right.
I've probably
We've all
definitely
been
been
there.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another one that was really really good was self or social isolation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you withdraw from the people that are around you, or you think maybe that you're alone.
Yeah.
So then you just get in this really lonely mindset,
Mm-hmm.
and then you don't want to be around people. And sometimes people mistake that for like, oh, I'm just an introvert.
Right.
oh, I just like to be by myself. I love being in my room by myself.
No.
Little do you know, or the people around you know, that you're probably crying to yourself, or
Mm-hmm.
just, I don't know, doing something maybe you shouldn't be doing, because you're withdrawing from the people that can help build you back up, or be there for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elijah also did this.
Yes, you did.
He ran away
Mm-hmm.
40 days, 4 nights. But it's so funny because, like, God checked him at the end of the story and he was like, you're not alone. First of all, I'm with you.
Right.
And then there's also 7,000 other people in Israel that are faithful to me. Like, you're not alone. Like, you're not the only person that, you know, trusts me and has faith in me.
Yeah. I think sometimes we can get so, like, blinded about just, like, the situation that we're in that we don't realize, like, everything else around us.
Yeah.
Like, we're just so, like, we have blinders on. So we're so focused on the one thing, to focus on, like, I'm the only one who's doing something, or I can't make this work, or this little problem or whatever, that we don't see that there are, like, other things around us to kind of help us.
Mm-hmm.
So my boy Elijah should have known
Yeah.
that. More than anything, even if anybody wasn't with him, God was with him.
Right. And that's all you need.
That's really all you need.
And, like, I just think it's cool, like, that God, you know, obviously reminds us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he has to remind us constantly, like, no, like, you're not alone. Like, I'm here with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, like, even if it can feel, like, overwhelming and, you know, in your situation that you feel burnt out in, like, you feel like you're the only one going through this emotionally or going through physically. Like, no one understands what you're going through, but, like, God does.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because he's just like, no. He just, like, taps your shoulder, like, hey, I'm right here.
Yeah. Ugh, those are the best moments, when you actually realize that God is there. And that there are other people there that, even if they aren't in the same situation, they
Yeah.
can understand what's happening and, like, just comfort you, you know, and be there for you. So
Yeah.
great.
God's good.
Yeah.
So those were the symptoms of how to recognize burnout. But after you recognize burnout, what else do you do? You find the root of the issue.
Right.
So you look back in your life and you see what's off balance, what's something that is either stressing you out too much or, you know, causing anxiety or fear or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But finding that root is, like, an important step right after recognizing the symptoms.
Yeah.
So you know, like, kind of where it's coming from, and then you can pinpoint, like, how to fix it.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And you know, right after you find that root, I think it's also very important to, you know, put boundaries on yourself.
Yeah.
To prioritize certain things. Like,
Yeah.
if you know that this situation gets you stressed out, or this situation always causes you to end up in a certain way, then why don't you place a boundary on, like, okay, I noticed this.
Mm-hmm.
Before I get there, I'm going to put this block up so that I don't reach that point of burnout.
Yeah.
Like, that's what boundaries do. They help you to prevent you from going down a route of, whether it be burnout, it could be sin, it could be bad habits, it can be whatever. Like, those things are there to block.
Yeah.
Before you end up in a position you don't want to be in.
Right.
So I think that's very important. Also, another thing is, like, delegate. Like, seriously, delegate if you can. Delegate. It reminds me of Moses, the story of Moses. His father-in-law, Jethro, he kind of just noticed that he was being this judge over all of the people of Israel that he just, you know, freed from Egypt. And they're bringing all of their requests or all of their concerns to him. And Moses was handling all of this. And Jethro was like, yo, if you keep doing this by yourself, you're going to burn out. He's like, why don't you do this? Why don't you take faithful men that are under you and divide them up, you know, in different areas, and then those people can take their you know, can handle the disputes of the other people. Like, these people that are underneath Moses can take the disputes of all these Israelites.
Yeah.
and help take the load off of Moses. And then Moses would only take the most important ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's delegation, and we should all strive to do that. And even if you don't have people around you to delegate to, I think something that is very wise is like you should delegate even the tasks that you have. You should set a priority on like, yo, this is the most important thing to do right now compared to this, even though this is like probably, I want to do this because maybe it'll help me escape from something else that's heavier. It's like, no, like, that this has a different due date and the due date is sooner. So why don't you put that at the top of your list to do, on Monday, and then Tuesday you do the other task instead of like doing it out of order, and then you get even more stressed out later throughout the week because it's going to be due sooner. So like being able to just do that with what you have at hand, whether it be a school project, something for work, something like you're an editor, so you have videos that are due at certain times, like things like that. Like just set it in a way that makes sense, so you don't end up getting stressed out and burnt out in the end.
Yeah, and also, this isn't on our list or anything, but like say no when you need to say no. I guess it's part of boundaries, but just 100%. Like know your workload and know what you have to do and be wise and know that like if you actually can't do it, like just say no. Right. Like it's fine.
Yes. It'll be okay.
It'll be fine.
Nobody's gonna hate you.
No.
Because that means that they know that you respect yourself and your health.
Yep.
So
yeah, the last thing is to take a Sabbath, which means to rest in Hebrew, if you didn't know. And it's also a commandment. Yeah, one of the 10 commandments.
Yeah, the Bible talks about it. And I'm telling you, I'm learning this for myself. Rest is very important. But the commandment about a Sabbath, it's in Exodus 20, verses 8 through 11. And it says, "Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you, nor your sons or daughters, nor your male or female servants, nor your animals." Like, what? The animals can't even do nothing. Like, that's how holy and important this day is.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Anyways, continues on and it says, "Nor any foreigner residing in your towns. For in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea and all that is in them. But he rested on the seventh day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy." So that goes to show that Sabbaths are important. If the Lord takes one, you take one. If even the animals can't even do any work on the Sabbath, neither should you.
He made it holy.
Yes, he made it holy, and it's important. Like, you do need rest. Your body needs rest, and it's not just physical, but it's also spiritual and it's emotional rest. Like, taking that time, setting apart that Sabbath day to just be like, breathe.
Yeah, it's very important.
You get refreshed and you get renewed. Even going back to the story of Elijah, right? God confronts his emotions and commands action. Like, Elijah expresses his concern to God and God sends him back. But like through all of that, like, he realizes that he has this burnout season, but then God restores him and refreshes him through rest, through food, and all of that. There's something that I read in one of the same articles, and it kind of it says this. It says, "Elijah sat under a broom tree in the desert and collapsed in despair. The Lord began to minister to him and recover his strength and joy. What helped him experience renewal? Lots of sleep and food, solitude, praying out his emotions, listening to God, re-engaging with the community of Yahweh's prophets, and being given Elijah to mentor." Like, it's all the things that we've talked about.
Yeah.
Like, he had all these things that he recognized that was burnout. Like, God was like, yo, you're a little burnt out. So let me restore you. Let me refresh you. That's why it's important to take this Sabbath, because like that moment of rest restores you to go do the rest of the mission that God has called you to.
Exactly.
So remember all of these things, because they are all important.
That was so good. So we want to leave you guys with some scriptures that we found for this specific topic to encourage you. And in whatever season that you're dealing with. If you're dealing
Yes.
with burnout, if you're gonna get there, or if you feel like you're dealing with the symptoms of it, like these verses hopefully help you.
Yes.
The first one is 1 Corinthians 10:13. It says, "No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it."
Ugh. Next
Oof.
one is 2 Corinthians 12:9, and it says, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I boast all the more gladly about my weakness, so that Christ's power may rest on me."
That's good.
Oh, so good.
Next is Matthew 11:28-30. It says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light."
Amen for
Oof.
God's light burden. Next one, Isaiah 40:28-31 says, "Do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary. In his understanding no one can fathom. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint."
So good.
Come on.
Oh, I love the word of God, man.
It's so good,
It's
man.
so good.
If you don't know that,
Oof.
this should tell you right now that it is so good.
Read your word.
Yes.
So the next one is in Philippians 4:6-7. It says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus."
Ooh. Jeremiah 31:25. "For I will refresh the weary soul and replenish all who are weak."
Deuteronomy 31:8. "It is the Lord who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not leave you or forsake you. Do not fear or be dismayed."
Come on, somebody. Come on. Oh, that is so good. That is so good, y'all. Now, we have come to the end of this podcast. We're going to give you guys some takeaways, some things that we think is very important for you guys to remember and take through this season of maybe you're in burnout, or maybe you've been in burnout before. So hopefully this is going to help you recognize those patterns that you have, or recognize those things that you have that lead you to burnout, and you can take it and set your boundaries and do whatever you need to do. So, Angelis, what is your takeaway?
My first takeaway is that burnout is a progression, that it starts from something, and if you don't notice it or take care of it, like, it's going to get worse and it'll lead to burnout.
Yeah.
So just knowing like how to identify it and like catch it before it gets really bad is really important.
That's good. My whole takeaway would probably be the part where we talk about like how to recognize burnout. Like,
Yeah.
these are the things that you can use to see, like, am I falling in the pattern of being burnt out? And if I am, like, if I am isolated, or if I am doubting myself, or if
Yeah.
I do try to avoid things by filling it with other stuff that takes my mind off of it, like, okay, wait, let me dial back, let me roll it back, and put those boundaries and put those guards up,
Yeah.
so that I don't end up in a place of me getting spiritually weak, physically weak, and thinking like I'm by myself and I can't do these things. So I
Right.
think that whole thing in itself, that whole section in itself, is very important. And like I said before, which this statement really stuck out to me, is stress does not have to lead to burnout if one is aware and take the steps to set sensible boundaries. Like, as long as you are
Mm-hmm.
aware of these things that get you to this place of burnout, as long as you're aware of yourself and put up these boundaries, like, you don't have to fall down the path of burnout. Like,
Right.
you can fix it. You can get back right.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good takeaway.
Thanks.
My next one is to not isolate yourself.
That's really good.
Because, I mean, I know I do this. I'm really good at it, and I love avoiding my problems. So, I think it's very important to not isolate yourself.
Yeah.
Especially if you're considered, like, introverted, that it may seem normal for people to see you isolate yourself.
Yeah.
Because it can't be good.
No.
No. And then the last one is your emotions don't control you.
Yeah.
Which is really good because, like, I feel like a lot of people are run by their emotions, and whatever they feel is right, whatever they feel is good or bad, like, it dictates, like, everything that they do.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, not having your emotions control your decisions and the things that you take on is really important.
That is so good. That's amazing. Well, we've made it to the end of the episode. You know what that means. It is Spotify Song of the Episode.
Dun, dun.
If you don't know what that is, I will explain it. It is a playlist that we have created that has songs on there that, like, we hope that will encourage you to help you get through the week. With every episode, there will be a new song, and we will update our playlist so that you can blast this whole song, this whole playlist, all of it throughout your week, so that, you know, if you feel like you are burnt out, like, hopefully it gives you strength. Hopefully it refreshes you. You know, if you feel like maybe you're going through an open or a closed door, like, these songs can help you, like, just see Jesus. So, with that being said, the song of this episode, might I say, has been something that has been on my mind, in my dreams.
Wow.
Blasted every time I go into the car. During quiet time. Favorite song. All time. Literally, and I say that with every song.
Yeah.
But I think I mean it this time, only because it has spoken to me through the season that I'm in right now so much. Let me get to it. It's called Best Days by Martha Munizy. She's local, a local artist. She lives in Orlando, so that's pretty cool. But she's like a gospel OG. She's dope. The song is amazing. I hope it blesses you guys. I'm telling you, you will want to check it out.
If you didn't know already, we release episodes on the first and third Friday of every month. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at hidden_but-not-unseen.
So, I hope you enjoy our banter as we go on this journey through life together.